Whether you are in a large city or small town, if you are new to ministry or a veteran with decades of experience, there's one thing that unites us all in children's ministry: the ongoing need to recruit leaders. Unfortunately, there's no silver bullet to finding the leaders you need that will allow you to go into autopilot and never need to recruit again. However, there is an upside. By following some of the simple steps outlined in this session and in the sessions that follow, even leaders who are in dire need of help today can begin to have long-term success building their team. Before you have your first recruiting conversation, write copy for the church bulletin or ask the pastor for time in the main service. There are some steps that will help to increase your effectiveness. The first step is to commit to being strategic. Often, leaders are running in emergency mode, and anyone who has a pulse and says something remotely close to yes to our invitation is placed in a position to serve. The children in your ministry deserve a much more strategic approach than that. A commitment to strategy doesn't mean you'll never have emergencies to fill, but it does mean you'll slow down long enough to give yourself time to plan, pray, and create a timeline to build your team. One of the key parts of recruiting strategy is the pathway of recruiting. Very few leaders will meet you one Sunday and be ready to teach the next. There may be some who can be effective in this environment, but overall, each person will need to pass through some checkpoints before they step into a classroom or teach a Bible story. So be willing to give yourself some time as you develop the pathway for your church. Some of the first steps of this pathway include conversations to present the opportunity. So, set a conversation goal. How many people can you talk to each week about joining the team? What is realistic for you? When do you have time for these conversations? And what will be the easiest first conversation to have with a potential leader? Set a goal that will stretch you, but be realistic. Consider setting a new goal each week based on your current needs. Another part of presenting the opportunity will come down to how much time you can commit. How much time can you commit to having these conversations each week? If you cannot clear some time around the services you lead, is there another way you can capture a potential leader's information and schedule a follow-up conversation? Can you find 30 minutes each week to dedicate to nurturing people through your recruiting pathway? A friend of mine uses a simple contact card that he passes out each Sunday. These don't commit the person, but instead they allow them to begin to think and pray about volunteering and then provide a mechanism for following up later. A follow-up card could be simple as a half sheet of paper to get their name, contact information, find out if they've served in ministry before, ask for their preferred method of contact, as well as a possible date and time that you can connect. By setting aside time each week to recruit, even if you have all your positions filled, it may just help eliminate emergency recruiting later on. The second step to take for you implementing a recruiting plan is to identify specific needs. Some teams have such a great reputation within the local church that people will sign up just because they want to be on a winning team. But in most churches, people have a limited knowledge about the children's ministry, about what kind of opportunities exist or how they can be involved. So identifying specific needs makes it possible to articulate the variety of positions that must be filled. Identify the needs and write them down. If you're looking to not only recruit leaders, but to have people be fulfilled in ministry, then knowing the needs is paramount. Take time to write the needs down in a way that shows how many people you think it will take to have a full team. Once you've identified the needs, carry this list with you each week and keep it visible on your desk. That way you don't miss a crucial opening just because it's not on the front of your mind. I hope you can see that you should always be in recruiting mode. To help you get started identifying the needs, consider starting with some of the following questions. How many people are needed each week to teach? How many assistant roles exist? What are the requirements for security and to welcome the guests? What happens if the check-in system fails during a rush time? Who's going to oversee that? Can people fill more than one role on any given Sunday? Will people volunteer weekly or just once a month? What's the adult-to-child ratio for the nursery, the preschool, and the elementary classrooms? How many kids do you have? How many might be possible during a special event? Do you have behind-the-scenes positions that would help make the job of the teacher easier? Taking time to identify the different needs may feel overwhelming because of the size of the list, but it will also help make it possible to begin filling in names of people who would be a good fit for that specific role. Rather than finding a position for someone who says, yes, I'll serve, find the person for the position in need. Which leads us to the third step to be taken, which is to visualize the structure. This step is critical to create a sustainable ministry. Leaders who dismiss the importance of visualizing the structure may end up building a team that grows beyond their ability to manage. Software is available to help create flowcharts, but often a whiteboard with sticky notes is the best place to start. Write each person's name or position on a separate sticky note and begin placing them on a whiteboard. As you cluster them by similarities, for instance, all of your elementary small group leaders or all of your nursery volunteers, circle them and then draw a line to the person they go to if they have a need. Now, imagine all of these leaders showing up for ministry and having some kind of problem. Some may be late, some may not be prepared, some may have a discipline issue that requires intervention. The list goes on. The problem that may arise will vary, but consider what happens if they all have a problem on the same week. Who do they go to in order to help resolve their problem? If your name, or any one leader for that matter, appears too frequently, it's a recipe for an overloaded and exhausted leader. If there are too many individuals reporting to one person, consider realigning that group of people or create a new coordinator position that will help to oversee that area of ministry. Each leader should be empowered and authorized to function within specific boundaries in order to keep the ministry moving and the key values in focus. When visualizing the structure, don't forget to place yourself and your responsibilities on that chart. As the leader, it will be normal for you to carry a much bigger load than the rest of the team. But there may be some functions that are your responsibility that could be delegated to others to do. I hope that you can begin to see how being strategic, identifying specific needs, and visualizing the structure is important pre-work to do before launching into a full recruiting program. If these 3 steps seem overwhelming to you, consider enlisting a couple of people who will assist you with this specific task. You may just find people who may never be comfortable teaching a lesson, but are well equipped to help build a volunteer team. And that is where the fun begins.